and that might have been maybe a slight overreaction from me, based off of having the three, new starters up front.
Cowboys.com. Coach, the West Coast system is very methodical in how you move down the field. You just mentioned just how much you guys are getting to the red zone. The vertical threat is important to, hitting those big plays when those plays are there is important. Is that something that you gentlemen are still working on, trying to establish that the vertical threat of this West Coast offense right now?
Well, the vertical game, great question, appreciate your insight. Is the vertical game, frankly, you got to look at how they played too. So that when they had a cap on it, they're early. There wasn't a lot of 7 steps. I think we took one 7-step drop, and that was by design. And that might have been maybe a slight overreaction from me, based off of having the three, new starters up front. So and that's part of the game, and it's part of calling the game, on where where's the stress points and making sure those guys get going.
Here's what I like about Mike, man, and what I may love if depending on what he does here, but he can come out and he can admit, hey, I got to be better there. Might have overreacted here. That's not what I'm looking for. There we go. Might have overreacted here, given what happened. That's just the way it was. And he also talked about how they could have been better in the plan leading up to, talking about the offensive line, leading up to the game. But here's why I appreciate, 1, his admission, and 2, even him overreacting. Number 1, he's not too prideful to say, yeah, I overreacted. It says a lot to me. And now it's about how do you go out and you adjust. Not just say it, but adjust to it. The jury's still out on that part. But I don't think you're going to see a stubborn coach who's not willing to adapt. Why do I have that confidence? Well, that leads me to number 2. His willingness to adapt actually kind of worked. I know we don't want to hear that after this week. I know we don't. Could there have been some things you tweaked to be even better? Sure. But him adapting and overreacting didn't harm the offense between the 20s. Could have been better, specifically at the end of the half. That was really my biggest issue between the 20s with the offense was the end of half. I can't express enough how bad the penalty was on CeeDee Lamb when you could have been on the 48 of the Arizona Cardinals. Penalty happens. It's 1st and 20 from your 25. Huge issue. But even then, I wish they would have stretched the defense with CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks. So, look, could we have been better between the 20s? 100%. You want to get better on 1st and 2nd downs, so you're not in a bunch of 3rd downs longs. But you move the ball, no problem. No problem. But his willingness to adapt, meaning, yeah, I might have overreacted, but there was a lot of fire thrown at me last minute. Can I adapt to that and still be successful in a way? All while recognizing that I can be even better. And he did that, I think. I think with the fire that was thrown 28 to 48 hours prior, given what was thrown out there offensively from an offensive line standpoint, and understanding we kind of had to pull our playbook a little bit, they did their job good enough to get down in scoring position. The first possession, not counting, but the first possession, a lot of penalties, right? Yeah, back-to-back penalties in that game. After that first possession, the Cowboys offense got put in scoring position 6 out of 7 drives. And the only reason why it wasn't 7 out of 7 was because of that penalty, in my opinion, to CeeDee Lamb at the end of the half. So was it a perfect adjustment? No, we can always go back and be better. But the adjustment worked. You moved the rock on that vision defense to the point where you could have scored points 6 out of 7 times.